is everybody today? I am not muted, but I am Matt Groves, and I'm here with some more live coding for you. This is episode 34. We're going to spend a lot of time, hopefully, today, a lot of productive time, talking about and working with Docker and Docker Compose. Now, if you've been watching the stream for a while, you know that I have been using Docker pretty much this whole time. However, the way I'm doing it is somewhat manual, and I'm only sort of 1 foot into Docker. I'm sort of halfway into Docker, and I want to put everything that I'm working on into Docker. Now, generally speaking, the kind of code that I work on is ASP.NET Core, so I want to put some, and it could be .NET as well, just plain old .NET console app, but typically ASP.NET Core. So I want to put the ASP.NET Core app inside of Docker as well. And if you are watching closely, I have done this in the past accidentally. But what I want to do is I want to be more rigidly defined about how I'm deploying to Docker. And the goal here is to go towards Kubernetes. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to play around with Docker Compose, ASP.NET Core a little bit, and then a little bit of Couchbase. We're going to focus mainly on Docker Compose. We're going to put ASP.NET Core and Couchbase in Docker Compose, but I think the core here is going to be Docker, Docker Compose, and then to an extent Visual Studio and ASP.NET Core and how it handles Docker Compose. And Couchbase will just be the database that we are talking to, because that's what I'm working with. But we're not going to do anything special with Couchbase today, I don't think. We might do some stuff. We'll see how far we get. But of course, when we get to Kubernetes, this will be a whole different story, right? We'll have to look into the operator for Couchbase and things like that. That's down the road. All right. So anyway, thank you for joining me. The motto of this channel, I guess, the theme, the code of conduct, I don't know. The only stupid question is the one you don't ask. So ask your questions, whatever they are, however stupid you think they are. I'm telling you they're not. They're good questions. I want to hear them. They're good questions, Brent. They're good questions. So ask those questions, no matter how simple you think they are. We're not going to have any sort of calling your question stupid or calling your question too basic. Not in this channel. That's not allowed. So ask away. That's the only way we learn, is asking questions and answering questions. We can also learn by answering questions. I am part of the live coders team here on Twitch, who are just representing at TwitchCon. I was not there, but you can check out, I don't think the whole team was there, but many of their team was there. If you're interested in live coding on Twitch, you can check out this team, twitch.tv/team/livecoders. We all do different kinds of live coding and making and building and cool stuff like that. So you can see Pixelogic Dev is streaming right now, doing some cool stuff with a mobile app. Oh, interesting. And we'll maybe come back to this list towards the end of this session, and we'll do a raid. We'll find someone to raid, and we'll all go over there and be nice and learn from them and talk to them. But you can see there's lots of people on the team here. You can check us out. Different time zones, different types of content. I'm more back-end focused, ASP.NET, databases, Couchbase, SQL. Some people are more front-end focused, JavaScript. Some people are mobile focused, like we're seeing here with Pixelogic Dev, and so on. But as a team of 82 different people who are live coding, so definitely check that out. And speaking of finding other live coders, I'm also going to plug the Awesome Developers streaming list. GitHub/BNB/Awesome Developer Streams. This is a big text file. Contains a list of developers who do streaming of different live coding stuff, technical stuff. And it's a text file, so you can just do a Control F and search through it. We can see that this was updated 25 minutes ago. Wow, super recent. So we're going to do every once in a while I do a search for other people who are working with databases and data and kind of see what they're up to. Because I want to follow those people on Twitch. That's what I want to know more about. Not that other topics aren't interesting to me as well, but that's just like where I've spent a lot of my time. So do a quick search here for data, and we'll see who we come up with. So Liz Phillips, yep, we knew about her already. Matt Groves, that's me. Yeah, databases, Couchbase, SQL, .NET, C#, ASP.NET. I do some other weird stuff on the side, venture gaming, things like that. I haven't done VR in a while. I haven't done soldering in a while. That stuff takes a lot of setup. And podcasting, I'll do that, but generally I'll do that with Calvin Allen on his channel, Calvin A. Allen. Rachel Tapman, yep, we know about her. Shirley Wu, yep. Visualization, Ted Young, Spring Data, yep. Go Maestro Go. Jack Mott, yep. So no one really new on the list here for databases. But still, it's updated all the time. So go to github/bnb/awesome developer streams and find you some streams. This is not just Twitch, by the way. This is YouTube. This is Mixer, Facebook, Periscope, all kinds of places you can go to find people doing some cool streaming. Okay, what else we got? Yes, GrovesTube, bit.ly/GrovesTube if you want to go see the archive of videos that I have done live streaming on. bit.ly/GrovesTube, you can see the archives there. Everything gets saved to Twitch, of course, but only for a limited time. And after that, I send it over to YouTube. So you can always go back and view the archive there. That is bit.ly/GrovesTube. It's also at the bottom of the screen there. You can check out the archive at bit.ly/GrovesTube. TwitchBot is currently on, and I actually do want to update this while I'm thinking about it. So I'm going to set a current project. TwitchBot accepts a number of commands. Some of them are available only to me. Some of them available only to subscribers. Most of them available to everybody. And TwitchBot is also just sort of saving all the chat messages as they come in to a Couchbase data bucket. Not really doing anything with them right now. We may, may do something with them in the future. May not. I don't know. But they're in there right now. And so you can just type bang help, !help to get the list of commands. I think that's up to date. We've added some new ones, some fun ones to that in the last stream. So you can check those out there. All right, it is time. You might have already seen this on the screen here. The C# Advent is upon us. Now, the C# Advent is something I run. Well, this will be the third year in a row now. We're in the C# Advent. This is just a fun way to bring C# and the developer community to bear on 25 days of blogging or content or videos or whatever during December 1st through December 25th. The Advent, if you will. And right now it's open to, if you want to sign up to be one of these authors, one of these content makers, one of these bloggers. You can see last year, here's what we did. You can see all the content from last year. We had 2 people a day, 2 pieces of content every day, leading up to the 25th. And right now I've got it open up for other people to sign up and be involved. Currently, it's just early sign up. So people who were authors last year can sign up this year. I want to give them first crack at it. But if you're watching this on a recording, you might, this might be, I might have already opened it up to the public. So anyway, check it out. Go to crosscuttingconcerns.com, and that's my personal blog, my personal website. And right now you can see early sign up, but once I open up the Advent, it'll be a brand new blog post open to the public. I'm keeping track of these signups in an Excel sheet, which is off screen right now, but I just want to count to see how many signups I've got so far. 4, 5, I've got 6 signups so far, for sure, and I've got 2 signups that are kind of tentative right now. They're kind of early birds, if you will, that were not authors last year. So they will likely be part of it as well. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So 9 total people are signed up to create. Oh no, 10. 10, sorry. So that's 10 out of 50. So 1/5, that's 20% of all the spots have been spoken for, roughly, already. So get your entry in right now. All you gotta do is create some C# content and first you gotta pick a day, December 1st, December 25th. And then at some point, create your content. It could be a blog post, a news article, a video, whatever you want it to be, a podcast, whatever. As long as it's C# related. And then on the day that you're assigned to, publish that content, and then I will link to it from this from the C# Advent page. And then you will link back to the C# Advent page. And so it's kind of like an old-fashioned web ring, if you remember those. But we all link to each other, a huge network of C# content, and what we get out of it is 50 pieces of interesting opinions, tutorials, guides, tips and tricks, patterns, GitHub projects, everything related to C Sharp. So it's a whole month full of great C Sharp stuff. I'm really into C Sharp, as you might be able to guess. So I'm really excited for this. If you're a beginner, if you've never blogged before, this is a great chance for you, because you're going to get a lot of traffic out of this. You're going to get a lot of views of your content. I can almost guarantee you that, because that's been the case in the last 2 years. I'm not going to guarantee it, but I can almost guarantee it. So anyway, get into crosscuttingconcerns.com. Check it out. And you can also talk to me about it on Twitter, M. Groves on Twitter. All right. Later today, this very day, if you're watching this live, you can go to bit.ly/ASP.NET session. Notice the casing here. It's very important. I'll put the link in the chat channel there. I'll be delivering a live webinar, a webcast, or whatever you want to call it, for Couchbase. This will be an official Couchbase webinar, and I will be talking about building a user profile store with ASP.NET Core. Now, we've actually done some of that, a very tiny bit of that, in a small way here on Twitch. So if you look at the help commands, you'll see that there's a couple commands to build a user profile. Now, it's very, very limited right now what you can do with a profile, but I've got plans for in the future. We're going to keep building out this profile, adding more stuff to it, which is kind of how a real world user profile works. It just happens to be that this is you're interacting with it on chat instead of a normal web page, but it's still a user profile. So we're going to get a little more advanced than that, a lot more advanced than that, and we're going to build a user profile store with ASP.NET Core. ASP.NET Core, and of course Couchbase Server as the backend for that. But you're going to see some of the benefits you get of using a document database to build a user profile store for your ASP.NET application. Because in a lot of cases, people think, oh, I'm using a database with my website. But, in large enterprises, large websites, large projects, it often makes sense to divide your application up to multiple different databases depending on their use cases. And this is kind of the microservices idea a little bit, vertical slice idea a little bit, and there's a lot of overlap there. But we're going to see how moving your user profile store to use a document database is going to be a benefit. And then I'll show you some specific things about Couchbase Server that make it a good choice. But that's going to be a very code-heavy session. I've got maybe like half a dozen slides, maybe a dozen slides total, if you count all like the intro slides and things like that. It's going to be very, very code-focused, very code-centric. So it's going to be a little more formal than this type of setting because it's not like a chat room. Well, there's a chat room place for you to ask questions, but it's not going to be a super highly interactive session. If you are watching this on a later date, then October 1st, no big deal. Go to that same URL and you can sign up to get a recording of the session. Okay. All right, let's get down to business here. And I talked about a little bit of this at the beginning of today's stream. So right now I've got a Twitch bot running. And this Twitch bot is an ASP.NET Core application using Couchbase Server for persistence. Now I want to eventually deploy this Twitch bot. Right now it's running locally on my local desktop. I have to start it manually. You can see it running right here, just in PowerShell. I want to deploy this to Kubernetes and probably AKS. That's the Azure Kubernetes service. So that it can be running all the time, it can be running, I don't have to worry about starting it manually. I don't have to worry about managing a database myself. I still have to manage database myself, but I don't have to worry about managing, the cluster the database is run in and things like that. It's all out there on Azure somewhere. So I want to get to that point. I want to deploy that out to Kubernetes on AKS. Now, I'm not close enough to that yet. There are some tools to do that. The tricky part is Couchbase, the database, but there's a Kubernetes operator for that, for Couchbase. But first, I want to get everything into containers locally. Now, what I've done with the Twitch bot so far is it's an ASP.NET application that runs on my desktop, just in IIS Express, and it connects to a Couchbase cluster running inside Docker. So I've got 1 foot in Docker, that's where Couchbase is, and I got 1 foot outside of Docker, which is where my ASP.NET application is. That generally works fine, but there's one minor issue, that I can't quite do something because one's outside of the other. So they're in different networks, essentially. And the other issue is that I can't really deploy this to Kubernetes as is. I mean, I could, but it would be a lot of manual steps probably. I don't really know what I'm doing yet. So I consulted with some top experts, and I really mean a top expert. This is Brant Burnett. He is a .NET open source, pillar of the .NET open source community. He's done a lot of open source projects, mostly around Couchbase and Link. But he also, as part of his job as an architect, he deploys and creates microservices that get deployed to Kubernetes all the time. So I asked him, what's your process for doing it locally? Because I was thinking, I'm going to have to fire up Minikube. I'm going to figure out some sort of YAML file that'll deploy it locally. Information Rocket, hey, thanks for stopping in. Kind of depends on how you want to set it up. You can create a Docker network, then have two containers, one for app, one for Couchbase. That's what I'm going to get at here, Information Rocket, is we're going to create he suggested a Docker Compose project. So I'm going to do this locally. I'm going to create a Docker Compose. This is also a YAML file, but it's going to deploy ASP.NET Core project and my Couchbase cluster, which will probably just locally be one node cluster. We don't need anything more than that. It could be multiple nodes, but it'll deploy all of those. So when I open up the project in Visual Studio, and this will be good for those who are following along at home as well, if you're trying to check out this chatbot project. You just hit F5 in Visual Studio, Control F5, and it's going to deploy to the Docker images, the containers, and I don't have to do any sort of extra work. So right now I'm doing all the Couchbase administration in Docker manually. I'm using Docker start, Docker run, Docker stop, all those sorts of things manually. So that's what I want to get to. So the goal there is ultimately to get out to a Kubernetes cluster. A side effect, though, is that this is going to allow me to experiment with some of this crazy eventing stuff I've kind of been hinting about over the last month or so. Couchbase has some eventing capabilities that allow you to respond to changes in the data, and I want that eventing functionality to then make a call back to my ASP.NET project using like a curl function, which means that if data changes in Couchbase, it could bubble that back up to the UI and display some sort of notification on the screen, for instance, or play a sound effect, or play a video, or whatever other fun stuff we want it to do. But the point is, it's going to go all the way from inserting data into Couchbase, Couchbase event happening, Couchbase event sending a HTTP request to ASP.NET, and then ASP.NET pushing it back up to the browser through SignalR. So it's a little bit of a Rube Goldberg machine right now, but I think it could be some really interesting stuff we could accomplish by doing that. So that's just a side effect of this process, because they'll all be on the same network. So it'd be easy for me to do communication between ASP.NET and Couchbase cluster both ways. Right now, it's just one way. All right, so actually what I'm going to do is I'm not going to mess around with the chat app right now. The chat app is a little bit, it's relatively complex at this point, and I just want to get all the Docker stuff figured out. So I'm going to do like a hello world type project. So let's open up Visual Studio 2019, and we're going to create a new project. Okay, and ASP.NET Core web application. That's what I want. Information Rocket, if you have done this, or if you've done something similar, please let me know, because I am definitely going to be groping my way through this. I have some familiarity with Docker. I have very little exposure to Docker Compose, so I really don't know what I'm doing here. I've got some help from Brant, who has given me some examples to play with, but chances are I'm going to mess it up and I get something wrong. So if you see anything along the way, point it out, because I have no idea what I'm doing. You're running Docker locally with Docker Compose for dev. Yeah, that makes sense. So you're doing something very similar to what Brant's doing. Okay, it sounds like. Now you may not be using Couchbase, which is fine. There's not going to be. Well, we might get to some Couchbase specific stuff later, but this could be any sort of database really at this point. We're not to the Kubernetes part yet. And Kubernetes is where databases can get a little trickier. All right, so we're going to call this, let's just call this hello Docker Compose. Is that a good name? I love Goober NetEase. Hey, Calvin, thanks for stopping in. Good to see you. Did you see the thread with Jimmy Bogart? Is that what you're making reference to? Where he may have had one too many Heinekens and just started, okay, you didn't see this. All right, well, I've got to bring it up then now that I mentioned it. Jimmy Bogart, one of the top experts in the .NET open source world. Done some great projects, of course, but yes, here we go. This is how the thread started, and he started doing misspellings and alternate pronunciations of Kubernetes. And so you can see he got a little bit out of control here, and I don't even know what this video is. But then people started to respond. Of course, David Neo, the Diakuberbetus. Because there's also this thing going around where it's like, instead of saying Kubernetes, you say Kubernetes. Kind of like diabetes and diabetes. But I think I chimed in as well at some point, some of these, just for fun. Anyway, that's what I thought you were referencing. These were really fun to do. Yeah, Cracker Jackies. All kinds of fun stuff. Anyway, Kubernetes. All right, so hello Docker Compose. Should I call it that? What would be a good name for this, you think? Call it my hello microservice. Yeah, I think that's good. Let's go hello microservice. That's a nice sort of vague buzzword. Let's go with that. So we'll call it hello microservice. Okay, and yeah, we'll do MVC. That's fine. Enable Docker support. I believe so. When Brent was showing me this, he actually did this after the fact. But I think that's just what I want to do. HTTPS is fine, I think. ASP.NET Core 3, yep, that's good. And no authentication, we're going to keep this relatively simple. So we'll create, this is creating a brand new project here. This will also mean we can work on this and still keep the chatbot running. So we're not messing with the chatbot right now. Although for all I know, since we're messing with Docker, any Docker work I do could, blow up the stuff I've got going on with the chatbot right now. So again, I really don't know what I'm doing for sure. We're just going to try to figure this out the best I can. So this went ahead and looks like it already built a image. So if I went over to Docker images, yeah, I already went ahead and did this. Hello microservice created this 14 seconds ago. So I remember seeing this before and I was a little worried, like, well, okay, I built an image, but what if I make a change to this image and have to redeploy it, things like that. But I think that we can do some, that by doing this Docker Hub magic, and Brant mentioned the specifics of how this works, but .NET will basically connect to the existing image and redeploy to the existing image. So you don't have to create a brand new image, it will just redeploy to that image. Okay. So the next thing is to, I think what he did was he created a Docker Compose or something. How did he do this? Let's see. I've got a couple links here. I really want to create a chatbot that people on the live coders team, people wanting to get on the live coders team, could use. Lots of commands related to the area. Okay. I feel like, Calvin, that's a admirable goal, but I also feel like, at least maybe I'm biased here, most of the live coders I've seen, they kind of want to build their own chatbot. But that being said, there may be some people in the live coders team who don't want to do that, who just want to have something out of the box they can use. So do they, or do they fall in the necessity of needing one? I mean, I don't know. That's a good question, Calvin. Docker Compose YAML is the main file. Yes. So there is no Docker Compose YAML here. Nobody creates them to be reusable in my experience. I mean, so I don't know if that's true or not. Now, you may be thinking of maybe more data-driven is what you're thinking. So yours works for you, mine works for me, et cetera, et cetera. I'd like to think that mine would work for other people if they really wanted to pursue it. But actually, what I'm doing right now is probably going to make it a little easier for people to get started with it because they won't have to spin up the database on their own, for instance. The Docker Compose will handle that for you. Yeah, and you want the Nightbot chatbot that live coders could opt into. Nightbot? I don't know what Nightbot is. So anyway, Stream Elements bot. Okay, take your word for it. I think there's a bot that Streamlabs also puts in my channel right now. So he doesn't really talk, I don't think. Every once in a while I think he does, but he's just sort of lurking there and doing things. I don't think it's Nightbot, though. I think it was like Streambot or something like that. Anywho, yes, Docker Compose YAML file. This is what Brant has given me. It's a stripped down example of what he uses in production. So you'd have two services here. You'd have the Couchbase service. This is the database. And then your service is going to be the ASP.NET project here. And then he's also got this Docker Compose override. Maybe it's me. Stream? I don't think Stream. I don't think it's you. Because you sound like a real person. But no, there's a users in chat. Yeah, Streamlabs. There it is. It's called Streamlabs. So I can even do a Streamlabs and shout it out. Yeah, hey everyone, check out Streamlabs Twitch stream. I don't know if there's anything there, but that's a person. That's a account that exists. I want to bring it up, see what happens. Yeah, offline. So this is just a Streamlabs bot that, because I use Streamlabs OBS, that it's in my channel. I give it access to my channel or whatnot. But hey, S-Time Stream or Stime Stream, whichever it is. Thanks for stopping in with us, whether you're a real person or not. Thank you for hanging out. Okay, so I got the Docker YAML file here. How do I actually add this to my solution? Now, I vaguely remember, I wish I would have recorded this. Not that I could play it, but I vaguely remember there being a separate solution item, like a separate project, that the Docker YAML file existed in. Maybe it was, let's see. Docker support? Linux? Yeah, Dockerfile already exists. Okay, so that's not it, because the Dockerfile already exists. So we already have that. This is the basic ASP.NET Core Docker file. I don't think I need to make changes to this at all. But I need to create another item here. You know, I could just create a Docker Compose YAML file, but I'm not quite sure that's it. So add Docker Compose to ASP.NET Core solution. Let's see if we can find some Microsoft Docs on this. So let's see. I've already got Docker running, Docker for desktop running. You can see that here. Yeah, you have the root folder and then subfolders which contain their Docker file. Yes, correct. So right now it's just one project, which is in a subfolder called Hello Microservice, which will be in here, zproj, Hello Microservice. This is the solution, and then in the subfolder there's the Docker file. Yep, I'm with you so far. Okay, add container orchestrator to an app. Okay. Solution Explorer, add container orchestrator supports. Solution Explorer, add. So I don't see that as an option here. Add container orchestrator supports. Two different choices are offered, Docker Compose and Service Fabric. Yeah, so this is going to add a Docker Compose project. That's what I want to do. Add a separate project for it. Now this says Visual Studio 2017, version 15.8 or later. That's what I do have. I have Visual Studio 2019. Solution Explorer, add container orchestration support. And there is not an option for that. Yeah, forget the service fabric. But that's a step that I'm missing right now. Is this add container orchestrator support? So let me just do a quick search here. 19. Well, maybe there's a different. This is a different section of documentation. So this is ASP.NET Core. This is Visual Studio Container Tools. Yeah. Add Docker support. Yeah. Add Docker support. Add. Right-click menu. Container orchestrator support. Whoop. Am I just not seeing it here? I don't see the Docker either. I don't know how it works in Visual Studio. I work with PHP Storm. We have CLI tooling to start and stop stuff like that. Yes, there is CLI options, information rockets. But what I kind of want to do here is make this a little bit more out of the box for Visual Studio users. People like myself who maybe want to have some of that stuff done automatically. And I know that Brant showed this to me yesterday. But it's add, yeah, it's not showing up there. A project node. Oh, maybe it's right here. Add, aha, container orchestrator support. There we go. And we will use, so there's, oh, interesting. There's a Kubernetes option, there's a Docker Compose option. Oh, okay, well, I've never seen this before, but I've already sort of decided to go down the Docker Compose route. So I'm going to keep doing that, and yes, it'll be Linux. Okay. So you say PHP Storm Information Rocket. You are a PHP developer? I used to call myself PHP developer. I still like PHP, but I don't think I can call myself that anymore, as much as I still like PHP. Well, yes, you can run Kubernetes locally with clusters. Yeah, I'm aware of that. I did have Minikube running. However, talking to Brant and talking to others, it doesn't seem to be that people are doing that. They're using Docker Compose and then have a separate sort of CI/CD process to deploy this to Kubernetes. So that's the route I'm going to go down now. I may, maybe I'll come back later and change that. I don't know. So this is what I was looking for. We have a Docker Compose project now. And if I look at the actual file structure, so these are all in the root, like you were saying, Information Rocket. You do mostly PHP at your internship, but you've gone to C# to PHP to Node to assembly to C++. I'm not a one language guy. Yeah, I don't know if you can be a one language guy anymore. You have to at least know JavaScript probably if you're a web developer, and then whatever backend language you're using. Interesting path you've taken though. You've gone from managed garbage collected language down to assembly and then over to C++. So that's and you're doing this as an internship. Interesting. Technically started from Java. Okay, yeah, you've got all over the place there. But for the most part, it looks like you are kind of like me in that you like your, I don't know if you like this path you're taking or not, but you like your curly brackets and you like your semicolons. Because I'm definitely in that camp. Although assembly, that's a whole different thing. But the rest of the languages you've listed there are all curly brackets and semicolons. Yeah, so PHP, C#, Java, Node, they all share the semicolon and curly brackets, curly braces, whatever you want to call them. I used to do a lot of VB. That was my first job, was a VBA, and then VB.net, and then ASP, classic ASP with VB script. So I did a lot of VB to start with, and I did that for probably 2-3 years, just doing VB, like old school VB. And I barely touched VB.net. But that's how I got into C#, was actually started VB.net, and we're like, ugh, all the great online documentation, all the bloggers and stuff, they're all using C#, so maybe we should check out C#. Okay, so what we've got here is we've got a Docker compose YAML file, and then what you did to hack the computers at school. You hacked the computers at school with VB? Uh-oh. Don't admit that here in the channel. How did you hack them? All right, I want to go over this example here. So he's got services like so. So I'm just going to paste these in just to look at them. Now this service here, whoa, sorry about that. This service here, this is our ASP.NET service that he called your service, and this is Couchbase. So I want to just sort of take the Couchbase as is and put it up here. Now he's also using this Couchbase fake it image, which I'll probably start with. I may not keep it there. I may not keep it at Couchbase fake it, but we'll see. We'll see just want to get this working first. Okay, image is your service, so it's got Docker Registry. Hack, you just did some circumventing and privilege escalation in good fun while the tech teacher was watching. Oh, okay, well, if it's supervised, that's totally acceptable. And actually pretty cool that you have a teacher who would be into that. Was it like a was it a project that this tech instructor set up for the purposes of doing those sorts of attacks on? Like what do you call it? Oh shoot, OWASP has something they call like a GOAT project or something like that. Are you familiar with OWASP? They have a project, and they call it, what do they call it? I don't know, there's so many. But it's kind of like, it's just, oh, you just showed him. They changed a few things around to block me in the future. Well, that's good. That's good. So it sounds like you did a relatively responsible disclosure of stuff. But OWASP is is a security organization, and they have a project they've created. And I know a guy who's worked on this project. He lives here really close to me in the same suburb. But it's a .NET project, and the whole purpose of it is to demonstrate different vulnerabilities. So you sort of practice, if you will, against this project to find all the vulnerabilities and injection vectors and things like that. I can't remember what it's called. It had like a clever name, and I can't remember what it is. Anyway, if you're not familiar with OWASP, definitely check it out. They've got lots of great resources here about a bunch of security stuff. NetTacker, no. I want to say GOAT for some reason, but I don't think that's right. I don't know. If Bill Senf was here, he could tell us. All right, so Docker Registry, hello microservice. And I'm not sure what this Docker Registry is here, unless it's referring to my local registry, in which there it is, hello microservice. But eventually, I think I might want to, and I think we talked about this, is take my chatbot project and push it up to Docker Hub. So if others want to do this, they could pull it down, or I could pull it down from here. So I'm going to leave this sort of alone for now. Context. Yeah, so this environment stuff and depends on, I think, is what I want to add in to this. So I haven't done anything with Couchbase yet in Hello Microservice. We'll get there. And depends on Couchbase. I definitely want to add that. So let's do this. And okay, oh, I just saved it, and now something's happening. I didn't do anything else. It just saved it, and things are happening. So it's pulling this image from BT Burnett 3 Couchbase Fake It, which he's pushed onto Docker Hub, thankfully. So while this is building, while this is pulling, this is going to take some time to download this. So we can cover a couple things, and then I might just take a break to get a coffee refill because I am out. But what I want to link you to here is this Couchbase Fake It project. And this is something that Brant has created. It's a Docker image. It's designed for basically what we're doing. It's to use Couchbase in your local dev environment inside of Docker Compose. It starts up a single server instance, a single node cluster, and then it can optionally define the container, like the buckets, the indexes, and even fake data that you want to put in there, which is great for getting up and running with local development. Like he's saying here, reducing developer friction, which is very, very cool. Now he's got, what this basically is it's Couchbase, plus he's put on, maybe we can just look at it here. He's added some other things to it. He's added NPM to it, JQ, I'm not sure what JQ is, and Fake It, which is a program that creates fake data based on a YAML format. Couchbase Index Manager, which he's also created. This is something that you can manage Couchbase indexes from the command line, and Couchbase itself, of course. So it adds those things, and then depending on how you configure it, JQ is for JSON. Correct syntax points there. Okay, that makes sense. So you can then define in a sort of declarative way. You want indexes to be created. You want fake data to be created. You want to configure your buckets in a certain way. You want to create full text search indexes. All these things programmatically, which you can define. For my purposes, I don't know if I necessarily want all of those, because my goal isn't necessarily the same as Brant's goal, because he's got a whole team. Well, he's got a whole team that he has to help get up and running and be productive as soon as possible. My goal is a little more instructional. So I don't necessarily want to hide some of these things. I definitely do want to promote Brant's awesome work here and show you, all the stuff that Couchbase Fake It can do. But this kind of hides a lot of the details about using Couchbase. So I kind of want to be a little more instructional. So I may not want to end up using Couchbase Fake It. If I'm writing a tutorial, for instance, or a blog post, I may reference this and say, hey, go check out Couchbase Fake It. But this, for my purposes, I may want to switch this out to be just a plain old Couchbase image. Okay, we got an error. Docker Compose error. Cannot start service Couchbase. Driver failed. Programming external connectivity on endpoint. Okay. Now my guess is, yep, that's it. So 8091 is already allocated. So this is because I already have a Docker image running right here that I'm using for the chatbot that uses port 8091. So that's going to fail. However, it's interesting here. We've got two different Hello microservices running. Why is that? This one is created by Docker Compose. This one was created when I just started the new Visual Studio project. I don't really need these to be running, but they're not hurting anything right now, I don't think. Okay, but it did not spin up the Couchbase one because I have this one running already. Now, if I were, for instance, comment out this port number here, or maybe I could switch it to a different port. That might cause some problems, though. Because the whole point of this is I want to access Couchbase from outside the Docker container. So what I'd have to do is probably shut down my other Couchbase 6.5 beta, which is being used for chatbot, which would, I think, if I did that just on its own, the chatbot would still work. It just would not be able to make any database changes or get anything from the database. So things like the laugh command would still work, but shout out would probably still work, maybe. But things like set current project or profile, those things would stop working. And I don't know how good my error handling is. So what I'm saying is, if I pursue this right now on the stream, it's going to affect the chatbot, which is probably okay. It's probably fine. But what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to take a quick break and get a little more coffee, and I will be right back. It won't be that long. We'll switch over to the taking a break scene here, and I've got this music playing, but I want to change the music. I used a different music last time. Yes. Yes, so let's switch to, how about developers? That's a good one. All right, I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. Yeah, I just saw your message there, Information Rocket. I can map to another port, though. I can do that. My concern is that the UI would be upset about that. We could try it. It wouldn't hurt. If I can just remember which port is which. The first, one of the ports is the port inside the host. One of them is the port outside the host. And I can never remember which side is which. We could try something like, I don't know, let's call it 8881. Let's try that. Okay. So I saved the Docker Compose file, and it immediately starts doing it. It's very interesting. So if that has the same error, then I probably got the port number wrong, or the side wrong. Oh, done. Containers are ready. Okay. So if I just do a docker ps, you can see I've got, yeah, this is what, one of these, this one, I don't care without that one. I've got this one here. Don't care about that one because that's my chatbot one. And then I've got this one here, which is the one I just gave the different port number to. And then this one is my... So these are the two running in Docker Compose, you can see here. So then how do I actually access this? I guess would be the question. It was port 8881. We could certainly try it. Localhost port 8881. Okay, I don't remember. Did I specify credentials? I don't remember specifying credentials. So it must have done some default ones because I've got administrator and password. And this is definitely version 6.01. So I'm using 6.5 beta. But yeah, so there we go. We've got it up and running in Couchbase or in Docker Compose. Great. So the next trick will be to actually get the ASP.NET part to talk to the Couchbase part. So let's, and actually, how do I access the website? Does that need to be exposed as well? I didn't specify a port for that, so this might also need to be something. I think it's usually 5,000, right? So 5,000 is being taken by my chatbot right now. So let's try, I don't know, 5551. 5,000 allows local access to ASP.NET Core website. All right, I'm going to hit the save again and expect it to do something. All right, great. It's doing things. Things are happening and recreating. So it seems like mapping the ports to a different port number is working fine. Now, again, for instructional purposes, I probably don't want to do that because that could be a little confusing to first-timers. But let's just see what happens here. It's recreating. Done. Containers are ready. Great. So then I could, hypothetically, what was the port number again? 5551. Localhost 5551. This should give us an ASP.NET website. It's not. Why not? So this should, yeah, so right here, 5,000 is the port number I would expect it to go to. It's giving an empty response, so at least that's something. Oh, is it? Was it empty response? It is something. Yeah, right. If it wasn't even exposed, it would be a different error message. But let me just see. Is it? Maybe we try a different endpoint. Maybe it's just like home index. Yeah, but if I did like, I don't know, foo, still empty response. So it doesn't matter what URL I'm passing in, so that's not the issue. Why would it do this to me? 5551. Am I doing something wrong here? Exposing that port. I'm just looking at this. Oh, okay. It's interesting. It's using 57984 over here. Is that the right one? Yeah. Why is it using 57984? That's the number right. No, that's not it. 57984? 57984. Why is it using 57984? 57984. Oops. I'll do a search here. 57984. Docker Compose override. Oh. Oh, okay. I didn't even notice this. So maybe I don't even need this part right here. Interesting. I didn't see the Docker Compose override. I did see that. I know Brant mentioned the Docker Compose override. I'm not really sure the purpose of that yet. But it looks like I just go to this port right here instead of the one I was trying to map. I'm a little concerned about how long this is taking. This is going to impact regular development, but still not working. 57984. Let's try this one. Oh, that's a secure one. The TLS one. Yeah, not working. 57984 not working. I wonder if I could just give this something of my own here. It was a 5000. Okay, so saving the override also triggers Docker Compose to run again, doing all this nonsense here. So I'm hoping that regular, like if I'm making a change to ASP.NET, this doesn't re-trigger this whole Docker Compose thing, because this is a lot of time to wait for, a minor change, for instance. I want to try it out. Of course, that may cause me to rely on unit tests more, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. Okay. So 5551. Still nothing. What am I missing here? What am I missing? Oh, shoot. I shouldn't have hit save. Ironically, it's the ASP.NET part what I figured it would be the part Visual Studio would have no trouble with, the defaults. It's the Couchbase part that's just been a piece of cake. And I'm fighting with the ASP.NET Core part right now. I did promise struggle. I promised struggle and strife on here, so we're definitely seeing some of that. I've said Docker enough times. It's supposed to be summoning Robert tables, but it's not working. Let's try it. Let's just try it. Stare right into the camera, and I'll say it. Docker, Docker, Docker. See if Robert table shows up. We can do a shout out to Robert Tables. I think that's his name. Robert, 2 tables. Yeah, he's another live streamer. He has a different schedule than most, I think. He does some really interesting stuff. Maybe mount the project as a volume. Mount the project as a volume. What do you mean by mount the project as a volume? I have no idea what that means. And I don't know why that would help. Let's see. This has got to be just a port situation. Yeah, that can't be reached. So if I go to 5000, that's my current chatbot. Oh, it redirected 5001. Well, that's interesting. That could be it. That could be the problem right there. 5000. We'll just 5551 to that, and 5552 to 5001. I don't know. I'm just trying stuff here. But if it is a redirect, it's not going to. It's going to barf at that, I think. So I don't think that's necessarily going to do it either. But it's worth a shot. Maybe we'll learn something new. Okay, Docker containers are ready. And 5551. Nope, did not work. Neither does 5552. Well, let me take a look back at the files that Brant sent me. See if anything in there that helps me out here. So in his, he just has ports 80. Which is interesting. Not much difference in his service, though. Just ports 80. Four 463 ASP.NET Core. Yeah, okay. I don't think I have anything on port 80 right now, do I? Try on a different window because I have no idea. Something's running on port 80. I don't know what it is. Could be Skype or something for all I know. Well, I don't think I have any more ideas at this point. But I feel like I'm right there. I'm right at the edge of getting this to work. And it was so much easier than I expected, except for this one little piece I can't quite figure out. Because I want to change this back to 8091. But that's actually not a big deal right now. Because that's only for external access. So I can be whatever I want, apparently. The next thing I want to do is I need to actually get ASP.NET to talk to Couchbase. And that's where this environment stuff comes into play. Docker Compose is going to pass this value in to my ASP.NET application, essentially, to tell it which service to point to Couchbase. So that part should be easy enough. But it doesn't matter if I can't actually access ASP.NET Core from outside a Docker host and just try it out. So that's the problem I got to solve first. And it's really kind of bugging me. You know, Calvin, if you're still around, you're probably in a meeting or something, but it might be interesting to have a chatbot feature that's kind of a bat signal for situations like this, where it's like sends out a message, hey, please come to my channel and help me with Docker, sort of thing. Or please come to my channel and help me with ASP.NET Core, something like that. I don't know how that would work, or what the SLA for that would be, but that interesting idea anyway. Yeah, let's try this again. 5784 does nothing. 44363 does nothing. It is running, right? This is the Hello microservice. It's been up 3 minutes, according to this. I mean, we can try running this project Can I run it without Docker Compose? I don't see why it would crash. It's just a default project, nothing else. I've changed nothing in here. I do want to eventually change some things here. Wait, are those ports the wrong way around? Are you talking about here? Or in the override? This is, I mean, this override, I did not create this override file. This was generated by Visual Studio. But I don't think they're the wrong way around. This is the internal. This is the external, which kind of goes with, this was the internal port for Couchbase, and this is the external port I've mapped it to outside of that. So I think those are mapped the right way, but nothing's happening when I go there. .8083.80 where Docker internal is the first, the external. No, I think you're wrong about that. I think Docker internal. I think it's the other way around. Just based on, again, I could be wrong, but based on this, I know 8091 is the default Couchbase port for the UI. That would be the internal UI. I'm mapping it to the external one of 8881. So based on that knowledge, and not me actually looking up documentation or anything, but based on that knowledge, I would expect this to work the same way. So 80 would be the default, insecure HTTP port, and 443 would be the default HTTPS port. And then we're mapping those two external ports in the very high numbers. So that makes sense to me. But what doesn't make sense is if I go to these ports, nothing's happening there. So one thing we could try, this was something that Brant mentioned yesterday, is if I do a rebuild, it'll actually, instead of pushing changes out to existing images, it's going to completely rebuild images. So let's try rebuild and see what happens. Try switching them around just for the heck of it, then try it on another screen. Another screen? You mean like another browser? I'm gonna try this first, and then oh, it says rebuild succeeded. And then I'll try it. So rebuild succeeded, but it's not actually running it. Well, if I'm wrong, I can't see something I'm not supposed to. No, there's nothing sensitive. What's going on with this project? Nothing sensitive for you to see. But why isn't I'm confused about why this isn't running Docker Compose. Maybe because I need to do a Control F5 to do that. Okay. Oh. Is that what? Maybe it could be as simple as I was doing the compose, but I didn't actually execute the website. So that's interesting. Like Visual Studio's got its hooks inside of the image, so it's working now. So I'm just dumb, I think is the problem here, which shouldn't be a surprise to loyal viewers. But there we go, working. Bada bing, bada boom. So that is where we use this emoji or this emote. That's the bada bing, bada boom emote. That's my good friend Calvin Allen right there. Often mistaken for me when we're doing invasions, which is fine. So now let's try to get a little bit more interesting. Let's actually connect to Couchbase. So we're in startup here. And, okay. Now I'm going to have to remember the way this works. Oh, my bad. I was looking in the wrong compose file. That is overridden. You're right about the ports. Okay. I got something right. We're going to add Couchbase here. And this Couchbase extensions project is the easiest way to add this. Couchbase extensions, dependency injection, easiest way to add this to ASP.NET Core. This was a project that Brant, you can see right here, his name. This is the guy I'm talking to, Brant Burnett, has probably the top contributor on this project. This is not an official Couchbase project. It's open source community project. It works great, but it's not. You can't get support for this. You can't buy support for this, I guess I should say. Okay, so we'll say services.add Couchbase, and was it configuration.get section, and we'll just call it Couchbase. Why not? Because that is what it's called here, Couchbase. This right here is a weird part for me, is that, well, you'll see in a second here. If we go over to app settings, JSON, we'll add a Couchbase section. And we'll say servers, which is an array. And stop doing that. This is actually going to get overridden. So we could call this google.com. And it's going to get overridden by Docker Compose. At least that's the idea here. And so is the username password, I think. Username password. No, it's not. It's not going to. At least not in that default configuration there. So we'll just use the default ones there. This server, I put google.com. Google.com is not a Couchbase cluster. So if it tries to get to this, it's going to time out. But that's okay, because what we want to actually do is inject, essentially, through an environment variable, Couchbase. This syntax here means couchbase.servers. The first element in the array, 0, with this, Couchbase 8091. And my understanding is that this Couchbase is actually a reference to the Couchbase service, which we've named up here as Couchbase. We could call it something else. We could call it, Couchbase foo bar, and then this would be Couchbase foo bar right here. But there's no sense in tacking that on, at least not yet. Oh, I just saved it. But the other thing we need to do, well, first of all, that's not going to compile, is, I think it's here, app.use environment variables, or is that in the program? It's in the program. We have to make a change here, I believe. And I don't remember what this was. But we want to do ASP.NET Core program.cs use environment variables. This is how Docker Compose and ultimately Kubernetes communicates with ASP.NET Core. It's passing in environment variables. It's something like app.use environment variables. Something like that. Web host builder.use environment variables. Yeah, something like that. Web host builder is right here, right? So we can just say use environment. But then how do I specify an environment? The environment to host the application in. Darn it, I wish he'd sent over that as well. Because now I don't remember. It's web. So I need to tell ASP.NET Core to, well, first I'm telling it here, use the config file here, but I want to tell it to anything in the environment that would override this config file, use that. And I don't know how to do that. Web host builder use environment. So here's a blog post by Andrew Locke. This is a little old, but let's just see if anything in here sticks out. Here's environment config environment key. So what is the environment key? ASP.NET Core environment? I think that sounds right to me. So we'll go here and we'll just say use environment, ASP.NET Core environment. I think that's right. So I think that's what's going to happen is if we go to here, somewhere it says, yeah, right here, ASP.NET Core environment. So it's going to use development, right, which I can have a development file for it, but I also have it here. So I think that'll work. I think that'll work. We'll find out soon enough. All right, and then, so once I've got it actually connected, let's just do a quick little interaction with Couchbase to see if this works. Now, I would probably need to have a bucket created. So maybe we can go ahead and do that. But let's say bucket provider. And we can say bucket provider. Actually, what I want is probably more along the lines of, I might want that too, but what I want is iCluster. I don't know if this is going to work. Okay, let's take a step back. I don't want to get too complicated here. Bucket provider is fine. I want to say bucket equals bucket provider.get bucket. I'm just going to call it Matt. So I haven't created that bucket yet. And the Docker Compose, I could tell Couchbase fake it to create that bucket, but we're not. Let's just take it one step at a time here. I'm not going to do that. We're going to do it manually. So then I'll say bucket insert. We're going to just insert a new document with some random nonsense in it. Dynamic ID of just some GUID. Fine, and then the content itself is just going to be some anonymous object that will get serialized to JSON. And I don't know. Yeah, we'll just say, I don't know, foo equals path.get random file name bar equals GUID dot new GUID toString, and I don't know, type equals random nonsense. Okay. And then we'll just get it back out. So we're just going to do an insert and a get. So ID equals, take this part right here. Coffee's starting to get to me. If I start vibrating too fast for you to see, you'll know why. I made the coffee a little extra strong today. All right, and we'll get the document back out, and we'll say bucket.get dynamic based on the ID. We'll just grab value from that, and I'll pass the doc in here to the view, and over in the view, this will be model dynamic, and we'll just print some things out here. What do I have? Model.foo. I had bar. Right? That's not what I had. Foo, bar, and a type, I guess. Sure. Okay. So let's compile and see what happens when I compile. So this is doing some compose stuff. All right. So I would expect this to probably not work because I haven't created the bucket yet. But let's just open this up in a browser. Look at all this stuff. Unable to configure HTTPS endpoint. What? What's going on here? It was working fine before. Storing keys in a directory. Okay. What? Why is it doing that? Interesting. It looks like it's copying some files into the image and then executing .NET. So it's not rebuilding the whole image. Woo. But something's going wrong. Let's try this again. I don't know what the problem is. I really have no idea. Is something in my startup or I don't know. Could it be this thing right here? I'm just sort of just commenting out things around. So that seemed to be, yeah, this is the exception I would expect. Authentication failed for user Matt. Oh, that's because that's what I used as my bucket name. There is no bucket name Matt. And I would expect it to be using google.com. What was that? What was that port number? 8881, yeah. Why can I connect? Oh, there it is. 8881. Why isn't the UI coming up? Now I can't get Couchbase to appear. Oh, wait, what? How's that? HTTP. Oh. Weird, okay. Weird. So connecting to Couchbase. How did you know that, Information Rocket? I'll tell you what. You are someone that I'm glad is here. It defaults to HTTPS now. Okay, so I added the bucket. This should still give an error because you are a web dev after all. I thought it should give an error because it's trying to connect to Google. That does not seem to be the case. It's also not showing the actual data. What's that all about? Dynamic value. Huh. Well, that's weird. Because it's definitely in there. You can see there's the data. Foobar and type. Is it because it's dynamic that it's, I don't know. It's expecting this to be lowercase? That might be it. Oops. I don't suppose that's going to do a refresh for me. Okay, there we go. So it was just a casing thing. Yep, so there's my stuff, and now I've got 2 documents here. What I'm confused about is I've got this pointing to Google in my configuration. So that should not work. This should be timing out. In my startup, I'm saying get the configuration from that Couchbase portion of the app settings JSON, which is right here. And what I've got, my attempt then is to say override that with this, which it appears to be doing. But I didn't have to tell it to use the environment to do that. So I'm mighty confused about this. But it's working though, so that's good. That's good. So if I keep refreshing this, it's going to keep adding documents to that database, which is great. So beautiful. And they're talking to each other within Docker host. Okay, so I think I've achieved what I wanted to achieve. This is great. What I am, I guess I'm not really concerned about this because I just tried it. But so let's just do a rebuild. So Brand mentioned if I do a rebuild, that the data, any of the data that's persisted there in that Couchbase server is going to be blasted away. Which, it's getting some access denied errors. So it's unable to rebuild it. Huh, that's interesting. It won't even let me do a rebuild. But, so that's curious. So if I just make a small change and deploy again, so much output here. Okay, so that's more like what I'd expect to happen. Whoa. I'm getting all kinds of crazy errors here. Okay. This makes more sense. So it is blowing it away because now the bucket is gone. Okay. So the danger here as a developer is that once I do a rebuild, that bucket is gone. So if I go ahead and create that mat bucket, and then refresh this, it should work now. Okay, so that is currently the issue with this. So if I want to use this going forward as my TwitchBot setup, so I'd have to refactor my TwitchBot, add Docker Compose to my TwitchBot. I don't want it to blow away its TwitchBot data. I want to keep that long term. So, Brand was talking about this as well. There's a way to, yes, volumes. That's what he was talking about. Use a volume for that. Now, so the reason he doesn't use the volumes is because he's just basically faking up a bunch of data. And he's expecting to blow it away all the time. For my personal setup, I don't necessarily want to do that. So, Information Rocket, do you have an idea how to do a volume here? So, I see this volumes keyword here, and it's pointing to this, which is a local folder where the fake configuration files are located. Which means I guess it's expecting me to have a Couchbase folder so it can run some config files. Those config files would do things like create buckets, create indexes, create search indexes. I'm not doing any of that. But yeah, I guess the question would be, how do I then point this Couchbase service to a volume so that even if the image gets blown away, the next time it loads up, it will still have the data in there. And I think he told me how to do that, but I forgot. I didn't take very good notes. I'm looking at my notes right now. I did not take good notes about this. But I'm making some progress here. So I've learned a lot here already. Thank you, Information Rocket, for helping me figure some of this stuff out, and thanks to Bram to figure some of this stuff out. So I've made some progress here. So I'm going to call that a victory for today's stream. We've got about half an hour left or so. So I don't know if I want to stop here or do I want to just pursue this volumes idea some more. Okay, so, there's interesting information here. So, var www shopware z for using a local volume you mount. Okay, I'm not quite sure where this is. The Docker container is in the Docker container. A local volume. Okay, so this is a folder. The sleeping face uses the shopware folder. Okay. Something like this, I think, is what you probably mean. Is the shopware folder. So how do I, I call this like var www my data. Whoops, I just saved it and now it's doing something. So it's going to, I don't know. Well, okay. Oh, okay. I think I know what goes here. So something like the actual place where the Couchbase data is stored, right? So that's something like opt something Couchbase or something, right? Oh, I just hit save again. I gotta stop hitting save with these because it's gonna keep doing that. So this is just going to SSHF. It's kind of like NFS folder or SSFS. I don't know what those terms are. SSHFS. I don't know what those terms mean. But I vaguely remember Brant saying something about, yeah, you got to specify the folder, and just by doing this, it's going to persist that between new images, just by doing that, nothing else. But you are doing the opposite. Yeah, I don't want to mount a remote folder to a local folder. I want to mount a local folder to a remote folder. So if I figured out what that folder was called, I don't remember what it is. It's something in Couchbase, some folder where Couchbase stores the data on disk. Where is it going to put that? Is it going to put it outside Docker somewhere? I assume. Where? Where's it going to put that? And how do I tell it where to put that? Or do I need to do that? Is it just going to be? It's just going to create a volume. See the Docker compose YAML. Yeah, that's where I'm at. This is a local Couchbase folder where I want config. In that folder, create my data. Done. Or, well, This is not the same anymore, my bad. Okay. It's okay. That's okay, Information Rocket. We're both sort of groping through this together. You got to go. Oh, that's no problem. That's no problem. Thanks for stopping in, man. I appreciate your help. You were great. Hopefully we'll see you on a future stream one of these days. Maybe I'll figure this out and we'll come back to it. But maybe I have some reading to do on Docker volumes and how these work. Now, in a Kubernetes situation, I think all this volume stuff. Oh, okay. Thanks for the link there. I'll check it out. All this volume stuff, all this persistent stuff, and mounting and keeping all this data from being lost is handled by the Kubernetes operator. So that's one of the reasons you'd use the Couchbase Kubernetes operator or any database operator, is so you wouldn't have to mess with this kind of stuff. And especially with a distributed database like Couchbase, it's going to be very important because there's multiple nodes, and you got to be able to manage this volume corresponds to which node. That kind of situation. I'm very much just sort of trying to figure this stuff out. This is a 5.5-year-old Stack Overflow question. Any updates done on the host is reflected into the Docker containers. Okay. Am I doing something wrong? Here's what I did. Oh, okay. Docker file add command like so. However, any changes made to this directory on the host, the building container Docker compresses the directory into a tar and uploads the context. Second way is to attempt to mount a volume. Do try and import a you can not map a host directory to a Docker container directly within a Docker file, because the host directory can change depending on which machine you're running on. To map a host directory to a Docker container directory, you use a -v flag running Docker like so. Okay. So that's with the Docker, just plain old Docker. Anything here about compose? Okay, I'll have to look this up. Docker compose volumes. Well, this is a link about Postgres using Docker compose. Might be applicable here. Easily automate multi-container deployments. Separating data from software. Okay. Fine. Docker compose. New volumes every time. If you remove the volume by running Docker compose down, the container network are removed, the volume sticks around. Your data is safe within it. However, next time you run Docker compose up, it's going to create a new volume. And how can it remember that the previous volume was meant for this particular Postgres container anyway? But the poor user who might not even be aware of the concept of volumes will be confused, wondering where all the data is gone. Well, user-defined volume. Okay. To circumvent this issue, we can use the information we gathered earlier that shows us, hey, Calvin, you're back. Docker's just a fad anyway. They're running out of money. That's way above my pay grade. But ultimately, we're going to Kubernetes here in production, right? That's where we're heading. Just trying to get some Docker compose stuff running locally here, for as sort of a step in that direction. Okay, so this is how the Docker compose YAML would work. Okay, so you define a volume name and then the path. The last line, driver local is completely optional. I should have top, okay, whatever. When you run Docker compose up command, the first time with the above YAML, it'll create a volume, not with a random string as its name, but with db beta as its name, which I assume he means db data. Then onwards, every time you bring the application down and rerun the up, it'll try to create that volume, but it will notice there's a volume that already exists, and it will mount that same volume again, helpfully mount the same volume again. This is making sense to me. Okay, you registered a domain yesterday. Another one, Calvin? I'll tell you what, you're just domain crazy. Now, there was one in particular that you might be talking about that has to do with the C# advent. Is that what you're talking about? Because I got an email about that one. I'm not quite sure what to do with an actual domain yet. Yeah, I mean, probably we shouldn't discuss specific domain names on the stream, but there is a .christmas TLD. I thought might be fun. But yeah, I'm not sure yet. So maybe this year, if you want to, this is of course your domain name. Do whatever you want with it. But maybe you could just point it to that specific blog post once I get it live, so people will we can start using that domain name. Hey, TBD Gamer, good to see you again. You picked up developers.stream as a domain the other day. Wow, that's a pretty good domain name, I gotta say. Yes, hello to you. That's a very good domain name. How are you? I might just squat on that for a little while and see if Twitch will want to buy it from you. Calvin says, yeehaw, that's a good one. I know it's a typo, but I still think it's funnier you saying yeehaw. Yeehaw. Nope, sorry, too late, Calvin. It's yeehaw. Yeah, I mean, maybe just squatting on it would be a good strategy at this point, TBD Gamer. But that's a pretty good domain name. You're going to do something similar to Belly.io with more profile stuff with it. What's Belly.io? A curated list of streamers. Oh. Like food and programming streamers? Interesting. I really like the donut. I'm a huge fan of donuts. I got opinions on donuts. I want some donuts right now, actually. Oh, these are currently... So this just looks like a collection of people who are streaming. Hey, there's me! I'm streaming right now. Belly.io. I've never heard of this before. It's pretty cool. It's from your fellow live coder Sushi Code Sushi Day. Okay. C# Fritz. Also streaming right now. Yeah, looks like I got some competition. A lot of great tech streamers right now. Anywho, that's cool, TBD Gamer. So I think this blog post is helping me understand the idea of volumes better. So what I need, I don't need it to be in quotes, I don't think. I need to figure out what that name of that folder is. So we could just call this, I don't know, my volume, colon, and then the path, whatever. And so at this point, if I have this volume, whenever I do a Docker down, Docker up, it's going to find this volume and just pick up where we left off. So I just need to figure out that folder name. I don't know what the folder name is. Because I am... This is not really, like, you know, when it comes to stuff like this, I'm pretty dumb. But I want to just take a quick look. Maybe I could figure it out by looking at the Windows installation. Maybe I don't have a Windows installation of Couchbase. Oh, there it is. Couchbase server. So it's probably like opt. I remember someone saying opt. Maybe it's var. I don't know. This might be a good thing to check in the Couchbase forums for forums.couchbase.com, by the way. Docker volume. Maybe someone's asked this question. Docker data volumes with Couchbase. Aha. According to the Couchbase docs, that's funny. The volume path is where the Couchbase stores its data. That works fine. Yep, okay. All right. So they're posting this because they're having a problem. So this is always the danger of like Stack Overflow and forum questions is you copy and paste stuff from the question, but usually the question is asked by someone who's having a problem. So, but anyway, this is old too. This is Couchbase 3.0, so it might have changed, and I doubt it. But volume here. Opt Couchbase var lib Couchbase data. That makes sense to me. That works fine. Docker inspect Couchbase shows. Yeah, okay. Yep, appear the two containers linked just fine. However, the problem is this. When I stop the container in Couchbase, remove it with Docker remove, then Couchbase starts again, the data is gone. Despite inspect indicating the volume is still live. Okay, well, let's try it. Just throw it in here. And we'll call it my volume. I don't know, we'll just call it my volume just 1. And let's see what happens here. I saved it and nothing's happening. Well, get service references task. What in the world? What are we doing here? What's happening, Visual Studio? Stick with me now. Oh, you know what? I didn't even notice. That was Michael Jolly commenting about Belly.io. Hey, Michael Jolly. Thanks for stopping by. Getting all kinds of weird errors here. So let's give Michael Jolly a shout out. The Michael Jolly, shout out. There you go. You can change your shout out message if you want to, the Michael Jolly. I think, if you're a subscriber, bada bing, bada boom. Are you a subscriber? Yeah, you're a subscriber. So you can change your shout out message by doing a bang profile dash shout and then putting in a custom message. So I'm going to give that a try. If you're feeling like it, if you don't like the generic message, which just says, hey everyone, check out the Michael Jolly's Twitch stream, you can put in your own little message instead. That's a feature of the Twitch bot available only to subscribers, I think. Or no, anyone can do it. Anyone can set the message. Anyone can set the message. Yes. But only subscribers can do shoutouts. So anyone can set your shoutout message to whatever you want it to be, but you can't trigger your own shoutout. You can't trigger any shoutouts until you're a subscriber. All right. What's happening here? One failed. Can we do a clean solution? Let's start her over. It's got to be a profile dash shout, I believe. It's not profile space shout. If that's not clear in the help, I need to update that. But profile dash shout. Are you glutton for punishment? Why is this? What is this task? Failing unexpectedly. Get service references. I have no idea what this is. So I think that worked, Michael Jolly. We can actually double check. Actually, I can just do this to see if it works. Michael Jolly, shout you out. And there we go. Oh, yeah, that's another thing. You know, maybe I can fix that in the bot, but you don't have to put your URL in there. But there you go. It shows you a custom shout-out message. In your case, it spits out the URL twice. But there you go. So that works. Yay. Yay for that. Lots of unit tests around that. That's working great. I don't mind if you want to put the URL in there. That's no big deal. Yeah, like Calvin's saying, double the fun. Calvin with the 10 gift subs next to him. Maybe I should do something with gift subs as well, since Calvin is just gift sub maniac. Matt, send you an email. Huh? Are you saying you sent me an email? Do I need to look at it right now? Okay. Oh, okay. Jeez, Calvin, what are you doing, man? It looks like I got a couple people who signed up for the C# Advent as well in the email. Grammar stream. No, I'm just trying to make sure I understand the intent there, TBD Gamer, because send is like, am I supposed to send someone an email? I'm very much absent-minded, so Calvin could be reminding me to send an email to somebody. Anywho, I'm trying to figure out what's going on here. I don't know what this error message means. Get service references, task failed unexpectedly. Let me just take a quick peek at what's going on in Docker here. I'm trying to redeploy this, do a Docker down, Docker up sort of thing. And it's all failing. I don't know what this means. Get service references, task failed unexpectedly. Could not load Newtonsoft. What? What the heck is going on? What's Newtonsoft got to do with this? Unless, oh, you know what? It could be this. Newtonsoft is choking on my YAML? Is that it? Because YAML technically is a superset of JSON, so maybe they're using Newtonsoft to parse this? I don't know. I don't know what's going on now. Rebuild still failed. Still the same message, so I don't think that's it. Oh boy. Okay. Well, I think I've come a long way in figuring out how this works. And yeah, Docker Compose. Maybe I'll just try Docker Compose down. Just straight up. This will give me a chance to maybe look at that. What do you call it, Calvin? Oh, this should work soon. csadvent.christmas. Yeah, that's the domain I was kind of thinking of. csadvent.christmas. .christmas a little pricey though, so I was kind of holding off on that. Maybe for next year I was going to do it. But I appreciate that, Calvin. Calvin's turning into a bit of a patron of yours truly, which I don't, I appreciate it, Calvin, but I do not expect this kind of treatment at all. I really do appreciate it, though. Yes. So what was I thinking? It's the new console, Calvin. What is it called? Where do I find it? It's the new console in Visual Studio. Command window? We were talking about it on the blog or on the podcast recently. What the heck is it called? It would have to be the command window. All right, command window. I'll say Docker Compose down. Okay, I guess that's not it. Oh. Okay, command window. I'm talking about the that's not what I wanted. Talking about the built-in developer console, whatever that's called for Visual Studio. What the heck was that called? Darn it, terminal something. I don't even remember. Maybe it's in the preview. Maybe it's in Visual Studio Preview. I don't know. I'm still not using the preview. Well, now that I closed Visual Studio, let's just try running it. See if maybe a close and open is enough to solve this problem. Sometimes it is. Looks like this time it's not. Okay. So what I'm thinking is I'm just going to Docker Compose. Whoops. Docker Compose down. No declaration was found in the volume section. Name volume 1. Okay. Right. Docker Compose down. Removing. Warning. Fine. Up 21 minutes. That's still not what I'm looking for. Oh, this error message. What do you even mean? All right, well, I think at this point, I always love going out on a low note. I'm going to bail out. And because I got some lunch to get to, and I got a webinar coming up later today. So if you're interested in checking out that webinar, this will be on user profile. It will not be involving any Docker. Well, it will be involving Docker, actually, but a much simpler version of Docker, not using Docker Compose. So if you're interested in that webinar, bit.ly/ASP.NET session. Notice the casing there. I'll put it in the chat room again if you want to check that out. You can sign up for that still, or you can just sign up to watch the recording later. Totally fine. So we're going to shut this down here. And let's go over to Twitch/team/livecoders and just see who else is streaming. Looks like it's just C# Fritz. Haven't rated him in a while, so maybe we'll go ahead and raid C# Fritz. He's got a pretty big audience going right now, and see what he's up to. Getting started with, so a Buntober, getting started with Linux for .NET developers. That's cool. We'll go over there and check him out, so I'll get that raid kicked off. Start with, I do want to say thank you to everyone who has joined today and chatted. We've got Calvin, of course, TBD Gamer, thanks for stopping by. Michael Jolly, thanks for stopping by. Who else was it earlier? Information Rocket, thank you very much for the help today with Docker and stuff like that. You have to enable the prompt. It's experimental. Okay, yeah. Maybe we'll try it next time, Calvin. Anyway, we're going to raid C# Fritz. We'll see you over there. Everybody have a good day. Be nice to C# Fritz and give him the bada bing, bada boom when you do the quick raid. But anyway, thanks for joining. We'll see y'all later.
Oh my God.